On this episode of Money Matters with Jim Doyle, owning and running a business as a woman, featuring guest Patrice Mousseau of Satya Organic Skincare with Alyson Jones and Kavita Kent. Plan more, worry less. This is Money Matters with Jim Doyle.
The number of women entrepreneurs is on the rise, but regardless of the positive outcomes, no one goes into business with a guarantee of success. Welcome. While more women are starting businesses, they face challenges in getting support, from lacking the relevant connections to needing financial access or emotional support. They also need mentors and sponsors to guide them in this new path, building confidence, which is an essential part of a plan for building prosperity and growth. Today, we're shining a light on the rise of female entrepreneurship and a few of the challenges they face building their enterprises. Before introducing Patrice Mousseau, let's look at Satya Organic Skincare and a new way of doing business.
So Satya is something that I created because of my daughter's need. She had eczema when she was about 8 months old, and the only recommendation I could get from my doctor was steroids. So I'm a former journalist, I'm a researcher, and I thought I'll look at the academic studies, I'll look at the medical research, and of course the traditional medicine, the anecdotal evidence there, and created something in my kitchen crock pot, which cleared her eczema up in 2 days. So then I had a bunch left over and I decided to share it with people. And it turns out that there's a massive need for a product like this that's a topical anti-inflammatory without steroids. Yeah, so it was just something that my girl needed. And so I decided to then share it with other people because I realized that there was a massive need for it. So I started in the crock pot, and then, like I said, I put it out to people, actually on a mom and babies Facebook group. I had to make 3 more crock pots because everybody needed it. Of course, at that time, I didn't realize that it's about 20% of the world's population suffers from eczema alone. That's not even counting in all the other skin issues that need a topical anti-inflammatory like this. And then I actually went to a women's business conference called SVI, Social Venture Institute, and saw all these other incredible businesses creating, change in the world while being a successful business. So I really saw that as something that potentially that I could do as well. So I did my first farmers market out in Port Moody, which is a suburb of Vancouver. Then I went to, my local kids store, and I said, would you consider carrying my product? Because of course at this point I've already jumped through all the hoops, like I'm certified organic and approved by Health Canada. And she said, actually no. She said, I have so many other skincare products, I'm just not interested. And I said, well, this is a bit different. It is an anti-inflammatory. I said, do you have any skin issues? And she said, yes, I have this rash under my ring finger. I can't get rid of it. It's super itchy and it makes me crazy. And so I gave her one of my little travel sizes. And I said, take this, I'll call you in 3 days. And she called me the next morning and she said, it's gone. The rash is gone, I'll carry your product. So through basically word of mouth and me making some phone calls, we went from 70 stores to 400 stores in 2 months. Now we're up at over 900 stores across the country. So it's been a bit of a rocket ship.
When we come back, we'll have Patrice Mousseau with us in studio.
Whereas I see now that business can actually be a vehicle for social change and actually doing good in the world.
Welcome back. We're joined by Patrice Mousseau. Now, Patrice, before we get started, I want to get your thoughts on the importance of community.
Sure. So community, I think, is at the center of everything that we do in life, whether it's building a family, mental and physical health, and building a business. I would not be where I am today as far as being able to be a single mom, being able to have my own business that has done very well without having the support and care of community. And that isn't always, you know, a biological family. Of course, it's our extended family, our chosen family. So I've been very, very fortunate to have great community, but I know that it's, to me, is one of the most, if not the most important thing that we as human beings can have.
Now, you and I have talked before about community, and your connection with regards to community is unique on a couple of fronts, okay? So did you want to share a bit more about that?
I think really it's just the like-minded people that I have the opportunity to have in my life. When you are with people who understand and have the same values as you do, the same importance on certain things, usually not profit, it's usually about purpose, it's usually about things like family, connection, the environment, treating each other really well. To me, the community is really values-based, regardless of gender or background.
So who was there for you in the early days of your business?
I would definitely say that, you know, it's been other business people who are out there creating the same types of businesses that I am, when again, talking less about profit and more about purpose. And so what we tend to find each other and support each other and share all of our difficulties and our triumphs together. So that's been a really wonderful experience. Something that I didn't anticipate business was going to be like, because my perceptions of business have not, at least growing up before my current experience, has always been sort of a negative one, right? We were always given that perception that business is always about making money and kind of screwing over the little guy kind of thing. Whereas I see now that business can actually be a vehicle for social change and actually doing good in the world.
So what I think I'm hearing is there's a need out there, and it was nice of you to be able to share that and develop that with us. Let's take a moment to listen to what Alyson Jones has to say about the risks of taking on too much.
Alyson, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you for asking.
In your experience, do men and women take a different approach to running their business?
You know, I actually think they do. I think women sometimes, you know, have been so used to multitasking or feeling that they can kind of do it all or juggle it all. Sometimes I think women do approach it in a much more multi-level way, whereas I think men sometimes are a little bit more focused.
So Alyson, in your experience and your opinion, do you think sometimes female business owners can tend to take on too much?
I think they do take on too much, and I think in that desire to meet the needs of so many, sometimes they're juggling a lot of balls and it can really exhaust them. That is what I experienced. You know, I came in and I tried to look at all my associates, all my staff, all my clients' needs, and I really wanted to knock it out of the park for everybody. And sometimes I was finding at the end of the day, that's what I had been, you know, doing, that hamster wheel of just going around and around and not necessarily always getting the goals of the business accomplished, because I was so busy trying to meet the needs or the goals of everybody else in the process. Right? And that has at times led to a little bit of exhaustion, even at times burnout in the process. You know, it could be a high price to pay in some ways. It's one I think is worth it, but it's part of the learning along the way.
So Alyson talks about, as a business owner, trying to hit it out of the park for everybody. Have you experienced periods like that in your business?
I believe that if you're doing your job well, there are going to be people who are upset with that. I just do the best that I can for myself and for my daughter, for the people that I work with, and for my customers. And if you are constantly trying to make sure that nobody is upset, it leads to paralysis. Nothing is perfect, and if you keep trying to find perfection, you'll never be able to move ahead. Sometimes it's best to just try something, and if it's not perfect, you iterate all the time. You evolve what you're trying to do.
Now I want to ask you, how long did it take for you to build a good management team around you?
Well, I mean, I just hired a COO last year. To your expert's point, I probably did too much on my own for a very long time. But, you know, it does take time. It's an evolution. Sometimes you meet great people and you're able to continue with them from the very get-go. I mean, my first people that I hired for my company are still with my company. But then you do come across some people who aren't either a good fit for the culture or are in it for different reasons other than the ones that, you know, are important to you.
Now, Patrice, we've talked to a lot of business owners over the years about the importance of building that skill set and building that management team. And for a lot of people, it can be challenged managing growth. When we come back, let's talk about building that management team.
But your to-do list will never be done, and it's okay to be okay with that.
Welcome back. We're joined by Patrice Mousseau. Now, your business has a lot of moving parts. How do you manage it all?
And one of the best pieces of advice that I actually got early on, before I had really even started my own business, I was interviewing a CEO from a company called Gilt, and they do luxury goods in an online e-commerce marketplace. And I said to her the same question. I said, how do you juggle it all? How do you not drop the ball? She said, I drop the ball all the time, and that's okay. You don't have to keep them all in the air all the time. So yeah, I think just being kind with yourself and accepting the fact that you're not going to be perfect and you expect to drop the ball.
So can we talk about what priorities you had as you set up your management structures?
Yeah, I needed the people that were in the company to understand why we were creating the company the way we were, how important it was that we were actually trying to help people, and that was the most important thing that we're doing. For me, it was sort of that Kevin Costner, you know, Field of Dreams, you build it, they will come. It just naturally attracted the right kinds of people to the company. Really smart, really capable, and also just great people. I mean, we're a family more so than a company.
I hear, surround yourself with great people. Let's hear what Kavita Kent has to say about maintaining boundaries in business.
I think it's crucial to maintain boundaries, and I think it's crucial to remember that self-preservation allows you to provide the best version of yourself. And so self-care is something that we teach in the clinic, and it's something that we absolutely live by. In order for you to be able to provide the services and provide the amazing opportunities to your physicians and to my patients, and I need to be available to them, and that means self-care. Knowing that when you take care of yourself, you have the ability to take care of others.
So Patrice, I know you have some strong feelings around those words, self-care.
Right, I do. And I think that's just one more thing that we as entrepreneurs get added to our plate, that, you know, we're not taking care of ourselves well enough. You know, we're not exercising, we're not eating properly, we're not getting enough sleep. And those things are all true, and it would be wonderful to get them. But those things are also a privilege. Usually a privilege of someone who has someone, you know, in the back taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, maybe a business partner, all those sorts of things. And when you're really doing that all by yourself, the idea that I'm not doing enough to self-care is just one more thing. So I always say to people, don't think about self-care. What you think about, and to bring it back full circle to the beginning of our conversation, is the idea of community care. You go out and you find yourself a group of people that you can talk to, other business owners, and you can find them through places like business organizations, women's groups, some great places like SheEO, the Forum for Women Entrepreneurs, now called the Forum. Go out there, meet with people, and be vulnerable, and they can be vulnerable back to you, and that's how you build community, and that's how you're going to get through this, not by taking a bubble bath.
Okay. Now, I know in one of our previous conversations, you mentioned your young daughter saying to you, I feel bad for you because I know you're working so hard.
Yes, my little girl. She's always got an eye out on Mummy. Well, yeah, she said to me, Mummy, I feel bad because you're always working. And I said, yeah, Mummy, Esme, that's her name, Esme, but I love what I do. And she said, oh, okay, that makes sense then. And she was fine. Because I do. I love what I do, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
So, Patrice, here's a question for the ages. What do you do with a to-do list that's never done?
That's life. Your to-do list is not done until you hit the grave, Jim. So, pace yourself. Don't expect that everything's going to be done or everything is perfect and it's going to get better. It will get better, right, eventually. Then it's going to get worse. And then it's going to get better again. So it'll ebb and flow, but your to-do list will never be done, and it's okay to be okay with that.
So what I think I'm hearing is it's important that you choose what things you do and in what order. We'll be right back.
Because sweat equity is the most expensive money you will ever get in your whole life.
Welcome back. We're with Patrice Mousseau. Patrice, you put a lot of effort into getting your business where it is today. I want to talk to you about raising capital and your thoughts about never giving up sweat equity.
Right. So two big topics right in that one question. I think first we can talk about raising capital. And raising capital is outside, of course, of like getting a loan or a grant. It's when you're basically asking someone to come and almost like be in a marriage with you, right? They are bringing to the table their money, and you're bringing to the table your idea. Your idea and your time and your effort is worth a lot, more than your company is actually probably valued at. So when you start having somebody on the outside saying, I'd love to give you $1 million, but I'm going to take half your company, that's something to really consider, because that person, as I mentioned, it's like a marriage. They're going to be with you for the rest of the life of your company. So be very cautious when you get into that kind of thing. I always recommend to people that as you're starting your business, push as long as you can in getting loans and in getting grants, and keep as much of the ownership or equity of your company as possible. Which then brings us to the second half, of course, sweat equity. And this is when somebody comes to you and says, I believe in what you're doing with your company, I want to work for you, but I'm very expensive. And so what I'll do is I'll take a portion of your company for my efforts, right? I'm not, as I mentioned, not perfect at all. I got myself into a situation where that happened to me, and it was a very, very difficult, gut-wrenching, just terrible experience. And I was paying that person at the same time as well. So they got a very good chunk of my company as well as I was paying from them. It's very dangerous, sweat equity. And I think a lot of us, especially as entrepreneurs, we're very vulnerable when we're beginning our businesses. We're exhausted. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of time. And when somebody from the outside says, I'm so great, I'm going to come and help you run your business, it's very attractive. But I would highly recommend that if you do in fact see value in what they have on offer, do whatever you can to just pay them and then send them on their way when they're done their task. Because sweat equity is the most expensive money you will ever get in your whole life.
Now, with over 900 stores across the country carrying your product, what are the future plans for Satya?
Well, we are already exporting into Hong Kong. We just started into the US as well. Here in Canada, we just launched on indigo.ca. Hudson's Bay Company, we're also available on their online marketplace. PC Optimum as well, which of course is Shoppers and Loblaws. So, I mean, we're really riding a horse and trying to hold on to the reins right now when it comes to this company because of what we do. And we just provide simple solutions that actually work for people.
Well, Patrice, this has been real exciting to listen to your story, and it sounds like there's a lot of exciting parts still to come. I want to thank you for your time and your contributions on today's show. Entrepreneurship or running a business is risky and entails unforeseen circumstances. A large number of women are just not entrepreneurs or career people. They have families and spouses and face demands from personal and professional commitments. As a wealth advisor working with business owners, I've seen that the more successful businesses share a common trait. They have strong support networks and community, including mentorship, business associations, and social involvement. In my experience, where a financial planner can add value is to build essential business knowledge, enhancing financial literacy and encouraging engagement. There's incredible value in building a relationship with your financial plan and clearly defining your business needs and your goals and objectives for you and your family. My strongest advice to entrepreneurs: believe in yourself, surround yourself with trusted advisors, and build an awesome community. Now, I wish we had more time. I want to thank Patrice Mousseau, Alyson Jones, and Kavita Kent for sharing their thoughts on money matters. Because financial aspects touch so many elements of our lives, it pays to get great advice. Plan more, worry less.